A week following the disastrous launch of the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, Rockstar came out and issued a public apology and pledging to fix the issues plaguing all three games. Then Friday night, they released patch 1.20, which might have fixed a few things, but there's plenty of issues that still need to be resolved with future patches and title updates for the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. And here's a few of the fixes that are needed. By the way, thank you so much to everybody that has been watching my videos, the new subscribers. I went over the comments section, I browsed through the comments, I read the emails that you all sent me, and from that and my own personal experience playing GTA 3 Vice City and San Andreas Definitive Edition, I've come up with a list of some of the things that Rockstar needs to fix when it comes to the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. If you have a list or if you have a few things that are top priority in your opinion, feel free and let us know below in the comments section. Now, this is in no particular order or rank. This is just the way I wrote it down. Game crashes and freezes. This is something that a lot of us gamers absolutely dread when we're in the middle of a game, whether it's a single player game or an online game. You're right in the middle of a mission, or you're about to finally finish a mission, or complete this side quest, or you're just having a good time, and all of a sudden the game freezes up and crashes on you. And a lot of times you're pretty pissed about it, depending on the circumstance around the time the game happens to freeze and crash on you. This is something that Rockstar and Grove Street Games definitely needs to resolve. Crashes happen. That's just an unfortunate circumstance when it comes to video games. But they need to find ways to reduce the freezing and the crashing when it comes to these games. Now let's talk about the frame rate issues. The GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition is based off the original games. Well, the mobile port of the original games. But this is off an older platform. PlayStation 2, original Xbox, and now available to play on PS4, Xbox One, PS5, Xbox Series SX, along with PC, and of course the Nintendo Switch. These consoles, these platforms are way more advanced than the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and these games should run significantly better across the board. Doesn't matter if you happen to have it on Nintendo Switch or a PS4 or a PS5 or an Xbox Series S or X or Xbox One or a PC. All three of these games should be running way better when it comes to the frame rate and the FPS than they currently do. And all too often, a lot of people are confused, like, do I play in fidelity? Do I play in performance? Which one is better for the particular platform I'm playing on? By the way, shout out to Digital Foundry. They did some great videos. I will link their channel below in the description section. They went through GTA 3 Definitive Edition as well as Vice City and San Andreas Definitive Editions if you're curious as to which platforms these games run the best on and which one you should use fidelity on and which one you should use performance on. Yeah, the frame rate FPS issues is another problem that needs to be fixed as soon as possible by Rockstar and Grove Street Games. Now let's move on to the rain. Yes, patch 1.02 did address the rain issue to some degree. It seems to be not as bad as it originally was, but the rain effects are still horrible compared to rain effects in other games. And it either needs to be completely overhauled or needs to be reduced even further. And it's not just the rain effect, it's also other weather effects too that I see that's problematic when it comes to 3 Vice City, especially San Andreas. So the rain is apparently still going through buildings, or if you're like under bridges. That definitely shouldn't be happening. So overall, yeah, the rain is a little bit better than it was, thanks in part to patch 1.02, but it could definitely be improved. Now let's talk about the characters. Now this has been a concern of ours since we first watched the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition trailer. It looked good, but the characters looked a little iffy. And once the games officially came out, we saw how fugly and how inaccurate some of the characters are compared to their original GTA 3 Vice City and San Andreas counterparts. This is another issue that needs to be remedied by Rockstar Games and Grove Street Games. So hopefully the character models will be improved, not just facially, but there are definitely character bodies that look out of proportion and look crazy and insane, like Ryder, for example, or a few of the other characters you happen to encounter, whether they're primary characters, secondary, ancillary characters, or just even random NPC on the streets. There's also clothing issues that a lot of the characters happen to have, including some hairstyle choices that you can pick out for CJ that needs to be fixed as well. So let's move on to the in-game spelling issues. Another problem, I think, with that AI system that Grove Street Games used to create or rebuild or remaster these 3 games. There's a lot of stuff when it comes to billboards and business signs throughout 3 Vice City San Andreas that are incorrect, using the wrong words, they're not in the original version, are completely misspelled, that need to go back and get reworked. Compared to some of the other issues that need to be fixed, this is not as big of a deal, but it still looks bad, and it looks unprofessional and lazy. Another issue that definitely needs to be fixed. Now let's talk about all the maps, then we're also going to discuss the San Andreas map specifically. But all the maps, for the most part, look pretty good, with some exceptions. Sometimes there's low-res issues and textures, pop-in problems, even tears that I have noticed playing in San Andreas even after patch 1.02. And that invisible bridge, how many people have been talking about that and memeing on the invisible bridge in Flint County? There's definitely map issues that need to be fixed and cleaned up and improved upon, especially when it comes to the map of San Andreas. Not only does it have invisible bridges and cracks running through the hills that might just be fault lines, as some people were jokingly pointing out. That was a good one, by the way. But the draw distance itself, as I've pointed out a few times now, is problematic when it comes specifically to the map of San Andreas. There is no illusion of size when it comes to that map now, because in the original game, as most of you know, there was a fog, a haze, a smog, a fog, or whatever you wish to call it, an effect that limited our view of the entire world of San Andreas, and it made the map feel bigger. And yeah, it is bigger than GTA 3 and Vice City's map, but when you're up there in a Hydra or a jet or a plane flying around the map, or even you get high enough in elevation, maybe not even all the way to the top of the map, you start to feel like this world is much smaller than it should be, because you can see all the way across the map from Los Santos all the way to San Fierro, to the desert, to Las Venturas, even to Mount Chiliad, when you're not actually supposed to. Rockstar and Grove Street Games definitely needs to address this particular problem, along with all the others that we're mentioning. So there needs to be a new fog or smog or haze effect added to San Andreas that isn't too overwhelming like sometimes in Red Dead Online, but at the same time kind of limits our view after a certain distance. It's okay to have improved draw distances in games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5, but GTA San Andreas was a much smaller game when it came to its map size. It works as a double-edged sword, and it kills the illusion when it comes to the size and scope of San Andreas. Now let's talk about the increased time players have to escape upside-down burning vehicles before it explodes. A lot of you pointed this out, and I've noticed this as well. And like the moment your car flips over, you're desperately trying to get out of your vehicle because you know you're going to have less time to escape your car or truck or vehicle once it's flipped over than in the previous games. It felt a lot more forgiving in the original 3 Vice City and San Andreas. And that is something I think they need to go back and look at and maybe give us a few more seconds in order to escape before our car goes boom, especially during missions, because at least with the missions you can restart, but in free roam you end up losing all your stuff and then you have to reload a previous game if you have been manually saving the game along the way in between missions. Improve handling for vehicles. There's been people out there rightfully critiquing the handling. Even in cars, it could be improved just a little bit, along with the boats and especially the aircraft such as helicopters, planes, jets, the jetpack on GTA San Andreas. A few of you have mentioned having issues and problems using those particular vehicles and complaining about the handling problems that these vehicles happen to have. So that would be a good idea for Rockstar and Grove Street to go back and look at the vehicles and tweak the handlings on all vehicles in all 3 games. And then there's a few more that I added to the list. I'm not going to go over every single bug, issue, or problem because there's so many to go through. But a few more we'll quickly talk about is autosave. A lot of you have been wanting the ability for them to either rework autosave or be able to turn it on or off. I think that's a good idea because some people rather just rely solely on manual saves. The shooting mechanics, there's a few of you that would like the shooting mechanics improved, especially in 3 as well as Vice City, but some have also complained about the shooting mechanics in San Andreas Definitive Editions. Replay missions. Now, this is something that Professional and others have talked about, and I agree. Why is it in other games like GTA 5, 4, Red Dead Redemption, and Red Dead Redemption 2, other Rockstar games I'm mentioning, where you have the ability to go back and replay missions you've already beaten, but we can't do that in 3, Vice City, or San Andreas Definitive Editions, especially for those of you that like to get the achievements and trophies? I think this is a no-brainer, and it adds replayability to GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. So we definitely need the ability to replay missions, controller options. Now, personally, I like the GTA 5 controller options for GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, but it would be cool if we had the ability to, I guess, customize it or toggle between the way it is now and the original control schematic from the PlayStation 2 Xbox era. That would be a good idea. And when it comes to like the vehicles as well as the mini games, as some of you were complaining about, yeah, I think that Rockstar should go into controls and give us a variety of more options to choose from and customize to have the controls that we prefer using for the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, whether it's just like running around or driving around or flying around or shooting mechanics, etc. And the last thing I'm going to mention, and I seriously doubt this is going to happen, but it is unfortunate that Rockstar did not renew the licenses for a lot of the music that was originally in Vice City and San Andreas. The music is a vital part of the worlds, GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, and the other GTA games as well. And despite the fact that Rockstar Games is a multi-billion-dollar company, and the Hauser brothers, specifically like Sam Hauser, because his brother Dan left the company a year ago, they're all about music. So you think that they would want to make sure that the songs, most of the songs at least, I know they can't get them all back, but the majority of the songs that were originally part of the radio stations in Vice City and San Andreas were restored in the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. However, quite a few licenses were not renewed for reasons. Now, this could just be an issue that Rockstar and Take-Two have with these various record labels. Maybe it's a money issue. Maybe these labels are asking for way too much money. But it is quite concerning that they were able to get licenses for all these songs when these games originally came out, and Rockstar at the time was a much smaller company, and they have way more money now than they did back then. So you think that Rockstar would have put more effort into getting the licenses renewed for as many songs as possible for these games. But alas, there are quite a few songs that are missing. This is an issue that could be fixed if Rockstar and Take-Two were willing to open up their wallet and throw out a few bucks in order to get those songs renewed. But alas, I seriously doubt they're going to do that. Anyways, those are just some of the issues in GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition that need to be fixed over the next few patches and title updates by Rockstar as well as Grove Street Games. I did mention this during my Red Dead Event Week video on Tuesday, but it's worth repeating. According to Taz, who has some inside info at Rockstar Games, over on his Twitter, he's hearing from sources that Rockstar is allocating more resources and devs to assist with the GTA Trilogy post-launch development, patches, fixes, etc. That means that there's a chance that the release windows for GTA Online and Red Dead Online updates might be pushed a bit further back than usual. But this is good news for everybody that purchased GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition if it's actually true, because that means that Rockstar is getting more people involved at Rockstar Games that were probably working on other projects like GTA Online, Red Dead Online, and perhaps even the next game that they're going to have out in a few years from now, whatever that game happens to be. So that is fantastic news in itself, because more developers are focusing right now at Rockstar Games, once again, if it's true, on hopefully resolving the majority of these issues, bugs, glitches, crashes, freezes, frame rate problems, etc. that we are experiencing in the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. At least I hope that's the case. The more people that get on top of this, the better they're able to find and tackle and address the problems with future title updates. The sooner they get all that done, the smoother they get GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition running and up to the levels of quality that we expect, the better. Once again, let me know what issues, what problems in GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition do you think Rockstar should focus on fixing as soon as possible? You could have one big issue, 3 issues, 5 issues, 10 issues, doesn't matter. These are issues that you personally think that Rockstar Games needs to address and get fixed immediately in the next title update, which I will cover whenever that comes out sooner rather than later. Hopefully. Your thoughts, your views, your opinions, as always, welcome below in the comments section.